For years, companies have poured massive effort into building and maintaining business APIs. But the industry today has shifted. AI agents are the new consumers, but they don't speak REST. They speak MCP. So, does this mean that all that investment that went into building APIs goes to waste? Do you really have to throw out years of work and then start designing MCP servers and tools from scratch? Well, not entirely. The good news is that if you manage your APIs through Azure API Management, then you're just a few clicks away from converting your existing APIs into MCP servers and agent-ready tools. Let me show you how you can do this. I want to build an AI agent for Contoso buggers, and I'll start from my API. You can see the different endpoints that I have. This API is hosted on Azure as a function app, and you can see the available operations. I've then created a brand new API management service called Contoso buggers. And if I scroll over to the APIs, you'll see that I don't have any APIs created. So first thing is to import my existing API. I will select my function app. So I'm just going to navigate here and select my function app from my resource group. I'll go with the full list of API operations. I'm then going to change the display name for my API. I'll call it Bugger API. That's descriptive enough. And then I'm going to create my API. So that's part one. I have just imported my API from Azure Functions into API Management Service, and you'll see a list of all my operations. We can go ahead and test one of the operations. Let's test the buggers get endpoint. I will send a request, and we should see a 200 status OK along with a list of available buggers. So just below APIs, you'll see MCP servers. I'll click on that and you'll have two options. You can either expose an existing MCP server or expose an API as an MCP server. And that is what we want to do. So I'm going to select my API, that's the Bugger API, and then I'm going to handpick the operations that I want to be exposed as MCP tools. So remember that not all API operations should be made available to AI agents. So with this view, you have full control over what operations you want to expose to your agents. I'm going to provide a descriptive display name and click create. And then instantly you'll see that I have my Bugger MCP server with a remote URL. This way I can remotely connect to it. And from here, I can manage the list of all my tools. Now, this is incredibly useful for enterprises since you can easily apply your governance policies. You can monitor your tools from this single view. So before you even invest a lot of time in building your own agent layer, a quick way to test your MCP servers is in Visual Studio Code using GitHub Copilot. So I'll switch over to Visual Studio Code and I have the API management extension installed. I'm going to refresh and then expand into my subscription, my API management service, and here you'll see my Bugger API. And then down below, we have the MCP section where you'll see the Bugger MCP we just created along with a list of available tools. I'm going to right click on the Bugger MCP to copy the URL, the server URL. And then I can either select an SSE or streamable HTTP endpoint type. I'll go with streamable HTTP. So my URL is copied. I will go to my local MCP configuration, and I'm going to define my servers and pass in the first server, which is Bugger MCP. Now I'll paste in the server URL that I've just copied. And then for MCP servers managed on API management, there is a requirement to pass in your API management subscription key as part of the header. So I'll define that. And then the beauty of VS Code is that I don't have to hard code or paste in my subscription key. So I'll define an input variable for the same. I will copy my subscription key again right here through the extension. I don't have to switch between the portal and my dev environment. I will pass in the key. It's saved. And then I'm going to instantly test this out with GitHub Copilot. So I'll open the Copilot chat, go in with the prompt, which buggers do you have? And you see that I have the Bugger MCP server enabled and accessible through the agent. So I'll see here my agent calling the buggers get MCP tool. and you'll see that it retrieves the list of available buggers. So we just moved from having an API, importing it in Azure API management, exposing it as an MCP server, and then testing out our tools in VS Code with GitHub Copilot. I hope this was useful. Thanks for watching.